Hi. So today what we're going to do is we're going to review the rhetorical devices that we're talking about in class. And it's going to ask you to fill out the notes that I've given to you for them. And then when you come to class, we're going to be watching some videos. We're going to be working with those, but you have to have a good handle on what those rhetorical devices are. Can you identify them when you see them? And then eventually, can you write or speak using them? Okay, so let's get started. Exactly what is rhetoric? Okay, well, if we take a look at it, rhetoric is the art of speaking or writing effectively. It is the art or science of using language to influence the thought and behavior of an audience. Okay, so the first part you can write down is the art of speaking or writing effectively. And it is the art or science of using language to change or influence behavior. So pretty much what you see on the screen here. So when you go to college, sometimes you're required to take a class in rhetoric. And that class might be speaking, that class might involve writing, and the whole idea is rhetoric is to change or influence behavior. So oftentimes you see rhetoric in nonfiction writing as opposed to fiction. But I do believe that fiction can change behavior. For example, Uncle Tom's Cabin forever changed our country. Okay? So let's take a check for understanding. Rhetoric is the art of speaking or writing to influence the audience. Yes or no? Well, if you chose yes, and I'm not getting it to show up, there we go, then you're correct. All right? A rhetorical technique, if employed effectively, persuades the readers. True or false? Okay. Probably going to say true there. I got a little bit better with that. So there are some rhetorical devices that I'm going to have you take some notes on, and I'm just going to hit the tiles here for you to jot them down. Eventually we're going to come back to add the definitions. So the first one is anaphora, then allusion, then antithesis. They have an A thing going here. Parallelism, pathos, and logos. And then finally, we can't forget figurative language. Okay? And so, and then you'll notice that I wrote on yours buzzwords. Okay? All right, so let's move on. Which of the following are rhetorical techniques? Well, you probably saw allusion. Come on. And ethos. I cannot find the magic place to... There it is. Okay. So what is the purpose of most writers eventually? Why use rhetorical devices? Okay. So if we pull this over here, we use rhetorical devices to get the required response. Sometimes rhetorical devices are to evoke an emotional response, sometimes a logical response, but for the most part, we use them to get there's a targeted response that the author wants. Okay. All right. So our first one is the concept of allusion. Okay. We've been talking about allusion since you guys were in the freshman class, and I'm sure before that. Remember that an allusion is a direct reference to literature, sayings of great men, mythology, works of art, or even memorable events. So it should not have to require further explanation. So when you use allusions, you have to consider what is the exposure of your readers. Okay? So Mark Twain, I have never let schooling interfere with my education. Well, for me, I understand that because he didn't think schooling was a very profitable thing. But Vimi Vidi Vici, love and let live, that might be outside of your allusion knowledge. But how about this one? And of course, this is going back to the age-old question, why did the chicken cross the road? Okay? And so The three most famous areas where we find illusions are history, mythology, and religion. And like I said, we're going to come back to this and we're going to be doing some activities with it. Okay? So let's move on to antithesis. Okay? Antithesis can be seen in quotes like this. Integrity without knowledge is weak and useless. Knowledge without integrity is dangerous and dreadful. Or this kind of, the brave, both living and dead. That's a line from the Gettysburg Address. The definition is literally its opposite, okay? Contracting ideas, all right? And a lot of times they are parallel in structure, okay? So there's a couple of things that you want to make sure you get down. That they're opposite, that they're establishing a relationship between, contracting ideas. It is intentional, and they're usually parallel in structure. So the famous first lines of The Tale of Two Sweeties, it is the best of times, it is the worst of times, is probably one of the most famous uses of antithesis. Okay. The last term that we're going to get to today is parallelism. Okay. Parallelism is, look at that official definition. Okay. It's to maintain syntactic and thematic similarities in sentences. Any grammatical element in sentences can be parallel. Parallelism adds clarity to the sentence. Oh my gosh. Okay. Here's my simple definition. Parallelism looks like a list. It involves grammar and parts of speech. Okay. And the idea is that it's a repetition of a grammar structure. Okay. So, like I said, look for a list, commas, semicolons, and the use of repetitive words. Okay. All right, so that is all that we have today because some of the activities that we're going to do are going to be related to these terms. All right, so have a good day and we will see you later.